Okay, so we're doing a full color change, but a commercial style, but it's still a color change. So what we're gonna do is measure each panel in each piece and then write it all down. And then what we're gonna do is try to see how those kind of fit, and then we're gonna cut it off of our roll and then have it laid out so we can just put the pieces on. So normally if we were doing like a printed commercial wrap, it would all be printed panels, and you would either be putting the truck on this way or it would be in panels this way. But because we just ordered color material, what we're gonna do is wrap each panel so we can tuck it a little bit nicer than just a normal printed wrap, and so that we can get it in there and just a little bit nicer. So what we're gonna do first is always go for the furthest point out. So that's obviously, you can't really see under there, but it's underneath here, so this fender piece. So we wanna go from that point and give us like an extra 2 inches or so. And when you're looking at that too, you wanna make sure you're looking like directly this way. So if you're cutting a square piece or a rectangular piece, where is that gonna be cut off, right? So this is where we are. So I'm just gonna leave it there. And then I'm gonna come all the way over here, and same thing. It's gonna be a square or a rectangle piece. So I'm gonna look here where the longest piece is. So it's actually down here is our longest piece. So I wanna make sure we're past that. So I'm gonna go to 56. So that's gonna be roughly here. So that's gonna give us a little bit extra. So that's the width. So always do width by height, just so that you keep with everyone else, and that's how we measure everything. So width by height. So width, so I'm gonna put fender, and then remember that you're gonna need 2 of these. So right away, I always just write down 2, so don't forget. Now this is our top point. So we're gonna go from here, and we're gonna go all the way down to that bottom, because if we only go to here, that's not even gonna cover us on the front, but we actually have to go all the way down to here. So I'm gonna give us to like 43. So that gives us a lot to wrap around and everything like that. So that's 43, and then times 2. So now we're gonna have that wasted piece here. So remember that when you're going to cut this piece out, that maybe you could use this chunk for like the mirror cap. So I'm not gonna necessarily write down the mirror caps, because I know if I do this piece, I'm gonna have this extra, and I can put that extra on the mirror caps or the door handles, stuff like that. And then the next one is your door. So sometimes the plastic piece is gonna come right to the front, and then you would be able to do like a top piece and then a bottom piece. But most of the time, this piece is gonna run all the way up to the top. So you're gonna have to go from the very top of the door all the way to the bottom. So we're gonna go from here. And so we're 57. I'm not doing this bottom piece, so I'm gonna do that separately. So 57, this is always my furthest part out of the door, and then you wanna come here, so it's about 46. So again, make sure you bring it all the way down to the bottom of the door, because the bottom of the door usually comes back. And then you're gonna do the back door, same thing, 40, 42, and that should be the same height. So this is where the only time we're gonna have a seam on a color change commercial wrap style is right here. So otherwise we have to make a piece that's this long that goes all the way to the front, because there's no seams on this top panel. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna seam it. So we're just gonna have a long skinny piece here to here, and then we're gonna have a piece going from there to there, and then a piece from there to there. So there's gonna be a little seam at the bottom and a little seam at the top. And that's only when you're doing the commercial style color change wrap. Otherwise, if you're doing a full color change wrap, you're gonna cut the piece this wide all the way so that you don't have any seams at all. So this one is going to be like 62, let's make it 64 for good measure. And then give yourself extra, because you got to try and tuck around in here. So 10. So if I bring this up, it's going to cut off there, down, gives me a little extra. Maybe I'll even go 11, just because this kind of comes this way. I'll just give myself 11. And then the box, you just want to make sure you go around that edge, so you're going to go like a little bit extra. Now this is where it's going to get a little tricky, so you're going to come all the way this way, And make sure you don't just stop here. You want to go all the way around the backside because this piece wraps around the backside. So we want to be like 84. And then the height, again, look to see where the lowest point is. This is actually not as long as this here, so we're gonna measure from here. And maybe give yourself a little extra because you want this piece covered. So we're gonna go up there. I mean, technically we could put a little seam here so we're not wasting so much material on this because it's a color change commercial wraps now. So I'm just gonna go from there. So I'm gonna give myself 39. So another thing to keep in mind is you're gonna have to do the roof, right? So the roof could, when you measure the roof, it's gonna come all the way down to here, and then it's also gonna go down in front of the windshield. So you're gonna measure that entire thing. If the rolls are 60 inches wide, so if it's not quite 60 inches, or if this is longer than 60 inches, you can do a split in the middle this way. Don't do it in half. I mean, depending on how you wanna do it, but it's easier to do it the split in the middle, I find, just because you can reach and come this way and reach and go that way. What else? Tailgate, same thing. Here and here. 64. And then on the tailgate, see how, excuse me. I'll cut that out. See how it comes in and then goes out? Especially on like the Dodges, they'll go in really far and then come out. So you have to make sure you're accounting for that couple extra inches where it goes in and out. So you can do this with a string too, and you can put the string in there and then measure the string after. But it's just as easy to kind of hold the tape measure, give yourself extra. And then again, this goes in. So what I would do is probably just give myself a couple extra inches at the bottom. So 26 by, whatever I said it was, 26 by 63 or 64.